tying up another Carrie Stevens streamer from the Hilliard book. This is a fly called the Will Ketch, and that is Willketch. I don't know, there's no information in the book about it other than the recipe for the pattern. And I don't know if this was tied for somebody or named after somebody or simply it will catch a fish. So that's how it got its name. Might do a little bit of research, see if I can't find out. If I find anything, I'll put it in the description down below. But it's a, for the most part, other than the wing, it's pretty straightforward Carrie Stevens, other than it does have a gold body. But the wing is rather interesting because this shoulder here is a double shoulder of Blue Hackle and Red Hackle. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when I'm tying the fly. That is the Will Ketch. I can start tying. So I'm going to start the Will Ketch with my hook in the vise. This is a Partridge CS15. It's a 10x long streamer hook. The hackles that I'm using in the wings are a little bit longer. They're from a whiting American cape, so I can use a little bit longer hook. Go ahead and debarb the hook. For thread, I'm beginning with a Danville Mono 3/0 in white. The body on the Will Ketch is just gold tinsel. I'm going to be putting in a double layer of gold tinsel on this. And although a black thread underneath it, and thread color probably really doesn't matter that much underneath it, as long as you don't have any gaps, I'm going to use the white simply because I want to put a layer of thread down the hook shank and then back up, because I'm going to put some flex cement on it to help adhere that tinsel to it to make the fly a little bit more rugged. I'm going to advance my thread down to the end of the body and then back up, putting in a double layer of thread. With my double layer of thread on here, go ahead and attach my tinsel. The body, as I said, is just a gold tinsel. I'm using a Danville silver and gold Mylar tinsel in a size 10. I'm going to tie this in with the silver side out. Most of her streamer patterns call for a silver body, which makes this one a little bit unique because it's a gold body. But just like the silvers, you're just going to tie that in with the opposite side up. You can do this in different ways if you want to. I prefer to just go ahead and anchor this down in the headspace here, opposite side up, because then when I start to wrap it over, it'll fold over, and I'll just give it a little crease right there to kind of help it. And the last few wraps, when the body comes up here, will cover that fold up. All of that will be up in the headspace anyway. So with that tied in, I'm going to put some, this is just some Dave's Flex Cement that I'm going to put on here just a little bit along the hook shank just to reinforce it a little bit. This Mylar has a lot of memory in it, and if you slip and let go while you're tying, it's going to all come unraveled. But the more important thing is that if you're fishing this fly and a fish breaks that Mylar, without any reinforcement or anything, it can all come unraveled. So I put that Flex Cement on there and start wrapping in the body. There's no tag or tail or anything on this. So I'm just going to wrap this all the way down and then back up. So that last strap just comes right over where that was tied in and wraps down that fold nice and smooth. And again, all that's going to end up in under the head space of the fly. Trim away the excess and advance my white thread forward. Now I'll change over. The Will Ketch has a black head with a red band in it. I'm using a Danville 70 Denier in red. I'm going to use the red more or less to tie in everything else and make the head, and then put the black bands in. There is an underbelly to the Will Ketch that is some white bucktail. So I've already cleaned a little bit of white bucktail. Maybe you get about a half a pencil in diameter out from the bucktail. Clean out the short hairs and everything, any of them that are kind of going way out to the side or something, just clean that up a little bit. I'm going to tie that in so it's just a little bit, maybe a quarter of the shank past the bend of the hook. Trim away the excess. Smooth this off a little bit. Now I'm going to tie in the throat. The throat on the Will Ketch is just some white hackle, so I'm using some white Schlappen. And I'm going to, just using a feather that has some fairly long barbs on it like this, I'll get 3 segments out that I can tie in. I want that to go about halfway down the body. I'll tie in the first segment underneath, and then the 2 others the sides. One bucktail there that was just kind of going out wild, and go ahead and you can trim that, or sometimes even just pluck that out with tweezers. Clean up this space here for the throat, where the throat and the underbelly is tied in, and now I'm going to tie in the wing. This is really about all there is to the Will Ketch. It's not a difficult fly to tie. In that regard, it has a wing that's a little bit more complicated. The wing on the Will Ketch is, there's going to be 2 gray hackles on each side, and then that is flanked by a slightly shorter yellow hackle. So both of these are whiting American capes put in there, but then it has a double shoulder, which is kind of unique. It has a chicken breast feather dyed blue, and then the recipe calls for a duck breast feather dyed red as part of the cheek as well, and having about 1/3 of the blue show. This is a chicken feather dyed blue as well as a chicken feather dyed red, because I don't have the duck. Then it also calls for, I should say shoulder, I said cheek I think. This is a double shoulder here, because the cheek is the jungle cock. These I've all pre-assembled. I have a couple of videos out there on how I pre-assemble my wings. And if you want to take a look at, so these are all pre-assembled. This would be rather complicated to try and tie all that in at once. I think if you did not want to pre-assemble, I would be tying in the gray and the yellow first, and then the two shoulders separate with the jungle cock on top of that. So I trimmed off the extra bits of the rachis to tie that in. I've got my side of the wing tied in there, and now I'll tie in the other side. You just want to make certain that the tips are pretty much even on these, but I pre-assembled them, so I selected feathers and massaged them and everything to make certain that they were all even and all matched up before I glued them all together. So with the wings in, I will go ahead and clean up the headspace here. I'll smooth this off with the red thread and then secure it with a whip finish. I just want to make certain everything's covered up here and everything's pretty smooth. I put a little wax on my thread. Put in a 4 or 5 turn whip finish here to secure that red thread. You don't want to break off your red thread like I did, but I was just pulling a little bit too hard. Now I'm going to attach the black. Put a little wax on my thread. Keeps that thread from slipping around. And I'll divide the head into thirds, and I'll put a band of black thread in the back and then one in the front, keeping the red in the middle. Attaching my thread and jamming down the tag end. I can cut that tag end off. And I just want to make this wide enough to cover that back third. I want to cover up any red underneath. I have just a little bit right there. A little bit more wax on my thread. And then I'll put in about a 4 turn whip finish. And just whip finish right on that black band. Trim away the thread. Now I'll reattach that in the front and put in the front band. Again, making certain everything's covered up. Some of those white spots you see are actually some of the wax, and that will actually get dissolved when I put some head cement on that here in a minute. And then it will get covered up by a couple layers of clear lacquer, so you won't see any of that when the fly is finished. So a little bit of head cement on here to soak down in there and get all those thread wraps nice and solid. And then I'll put some clear lacquer on there, and that is mostly to just help protect the thread wraps if you were going fishing with this. I got one little bit of that wet finish that came out. I'm going to let that set up, and then probably after I put the first coat of lacquer on there, I can trim that off. So probably in the intro video, you're going to see that that's gone. So that is the Will Ketch, a interesting streamer, a little bit different than some of the things that she normally does. The wing was rather interesting, especially with the double shoulder. Takes a little bit more to get that wing together, a little bit longer, but you know, if you have the patience for it and stick to it, it turns out pretty well, and it's a handsome fly. So there's the Will Ketch. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. But what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.